Dating rumors abound. Could it be true that Chang Wook and Hyun's on-screen chemistry has spilled into real life? Whispers have been swirling ever since the two were caught exchanging irresistibly sweet glances on set. Every stolen look, every shared smile only fuels this speculation. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we dive deep into this story and uncover the truth right now. The air on set that afternoon was thick with the lazy warmth of a late autumn sun. Golden light poured through the high studio windows, catching in the dust motes that floated lazily between camera rigs and lighting stands. The crew moved in their quiet, methodical rhythm, costume assistants adjusting collars, sound technicians testing mics. The director hunched over a monitor, murmuring to his assistant. And then, in the midst of that mechanical hum, there it was. A glance. Not the kind you pass to someone out of politeness or habit, but the kind that lingers a beat too long. That says more than words ever could. Chang Wook's eyes, warm and unguarded, found Hyun's. She smiled, not the practiced smile she wore for the camera, but one that reached her eyes. Soft and almost shy. It was over in seconds. It left an imprint on the atmosphere, like a spark briefly flaring in the dim. Someone caught it on a phone camera. Not a high-definition, studio-approved shot, but a shaky, behind-the-scenes clip that seemed almost stolen from a private moment. By the time the day's shit wrapped, had found its way onto Twitter. By midnight, it was everywhere, trending hashtags, ping on fan pages, dissected frame by people determined to find the truth behind the sweet, fleeting exchange. The fans were quick to point out that this wasn't the first time they'd seen something like this. They remembered a wrap-up party for a drama they'd done together years ago, where someone caught them laughing in a corner, leaning in too close as though sharing a secret. They remembered interviews where Chang Wook's gaze seemed to wander to her more often than the questions required, and how Hyun's laughter always seemed a little more unrestrained when he was the one making the joke. "It's the way he looks at her," one fan tweeted, catching a collage of screenshots from multiple occasions. "You can't fake that kind of tenderness." Mainstream entertainment outlets joined in, each eager to add their spin. Some called it harmless on-set chemistry. Others hinted that there might be something blooming away from the cameras. The headlines grew more suggestive as the story spread. It wasn't long before Chang Wook and Hyun dating rumors became a staple in the trending topics list. Even morning news shows, the ones that usually reserve their celebrity gossip segments for light banter, found themselves replaying the clip and speculating. Back on set, the atmosphere shifted. Every glance between them was noticed. Every moment they shared in the same frame replayed in people's minds like clues in a mystery. The director, a veteran who'd seen countless co-stars entangled in rumor mills, tried to keep things professional. There was no denying that something about their energy together had changed. Or maybe it had always been there, simmering just below the surface, and only now had the world caught on. In the days that followed, more so-called evidence emerged. A photo of the two arriving at set separately but wearing matching color palettes. An unverified fan account claiming they were spotted having coffee together on a day off. A blurry image of them walking side by side to their trailers, heads tilted toward each other in conversation. The public's appetite for these moments seemed insatiable, and each new fragment only made the story harder to dismiss. What fueled the frenzy wasn't just the possibility of a romance, but the way it seemed to mirror the roles they were playing. On screen, their characters were caught in a slow-burn romance, stolen looks across crowded rooms, brushes of hands that felt electric. Off-screen, the parallels were irresistible. Fans began creating edits blending drama scenes with behind-the-scenes glances, blurring the line between fiction and reality. Some insiders whispered that even between takes, they gravitated toward each other. It wasn't unusual to see them chatting quietly in a corner, or sharing a laugh while waiting for the next scene to be set up. One crew member, speaking under condition of anonymity, described an afternoon when the lighting team was struggling with a technical glitch. Filming halted for nearly 40 minutes. But instead of retreating to their dressing rooms, Chang Wook and Hyun sat side by side on the edge of the set, talking in low voices. It wasn't flirtatious in the obvious way. A member recalled. It was comfortable, familiar. The kind of closeness you don't see between people who've only just met. By the time the production's halfway mark rolled around, the question was no longer whether people had noticed their connection, but whether the two would acknowledge it. gave interviews on the subject. When pressed, their smiles were polite but non-committal. Of practiced evasion that left room for 100 interpretations. That silence, deliberate or not, only made the speculation louder. And somewhere between the set lights and the shadows of the rumor mill, the truth waited. Unspoken but palpable. First viral clip had lit the match. What came next was the fire catching hold. A week later, another video surfaced, this one from a rainy day shoot. The scene called for Chang Wook to wait outside a cafe. But the drizzle turned into a downpour before filming began. Crew scrambled to cover equipment. Actors huddled under umbrellas. In the middle of the chaos, one noticed him standing near Hyun, holding an umbrella over her while she studied her lines. They were close, too close for the lens of the long-range camera to separate them cleanly. His head bent slightly as she said something that made him smile. The video didn't have sound. But it didn't need it. The image spoke for itself. A body language expert was invited onto a late-night talk show to analyze the moment. She pointed out the subtle lean of his shoulders toward her. The way her posture softened in his presence. This is the language of trust, she concluded. Drawing murmurs from the studio audience. Clips of the segment went viral in their own right. Running threads upon threads of fan theories. Meanwhile, older interviews were unearthed and replayed with a new context. In one, Chang Wook was asked about his ideal type. Answered with a smile. Someone who's bright, kind, and makes me laugh. In another, Hyun described her ideal partner as someone who's warm, dependable, and understands me without words. Fans pounced on the similarities, arguing that the two might have been describing each other all along. And the agencies finally broke their silence. Their statements were predictably cautious. Chang Wook's management called the rumors a misunderstanding and emphasized that the two were just close colleagues. Hyun's agency echoed the sentiment almost word for word. But for fans, the synchronized denial only made things more suspicious. Didn't say no. One popular fan account tweeted, racking up tens of thousands of likes. They just said, colleagues. Fan communities. The debate split into two camps. One side clung to the denials, urging others not to jump to conclusions. The other side, louder, more passionate, insisted that the agencies were simply protecting the privacy. The latter group began collecting every photo, every snippet of footage, weaving them into a narrative of secret romance. Some even claimed that the two wore matching bracelets or shared inside jokes that surfaced in candid moments. Perhaps the most telling scene came from a day no one expected to be noteworthy. It wasn't a big set piece or a romantic sequence. A quiet break between filming, when most of the crew had gone to lunch. A few people lingered. Among them Chang Wook and Hyun. The operator left his rig running as he adjusted settings. Catching a snippet of the two standing near the craft services table, he handed her a cup of coffee. And she reached up absent-mindedly to straighten his collar. It was a small gesture. So ordinary it could have been overlooked, except for the way he froze for a second, meeting her eyes before breaking into a grin. Those who wanted to believe, it was confirmation. For others, it was still just another moment between friends. But whichever side they were on, everyone agreed on one thing: the chemistry was undeniable. As the production drew closer to its wrap, anticipation built for the final press conference. They addressed the rumors? Would there be some grand reveal? On the day itself, both arrived separately, smiling for the cameras, answering questions about the drama, their characters, experiences on set. The question everyone had been waiting for came near the end. There have been a lot of rumors about your relationship. A reporter began carefully. Is there anything you'd like to say? They exchanged a glance, brief, but unmistakable. Chang Wook laughed softly. Hyun smiled, and she answered, we're happy working together. That's all I can say. It wasn't a yes. It wasn't a no. But it was enough to send a ripple through the room. Enough to keep the conversation alive long after the cameras stopped rolling. Whether it was all just masterful acting or something real blooming in the shadows of the set. One thing was certain, the story had already taken root in the public imagination. And as the last episode aired and the lights of the set went dark, fans were left with the same tantalizing question that had started it all: could a glance mean something more? Whether it was the echo of scripted lines or the unguarded laughter between takes, Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun had created something that refused to stay confined within the walls of a soundstage. The drama had ended. The set dismantled. But the images lingered, the umbrella in the rain, the stolen smiles. The coffee handed over like a quiet gift. These moments lived on. Replayed in countless fan edits. Saved in private folders. And whispered about in online forums long after the credits had rolled. 4 weeks after the wrap party, small sightings continued to trickle in. Someone swore they saw them at a book cafe in Hongdae. Heads bent together over a shared menu. Another claimed they caught a glimpse of them boarding the same van after a charity event. Trying, and failing, to blend into the crowd. None of these moments could be confirmed, but in a way, that was the magic. The uncertainty gave the story its heartbeat. It wasn't just about romance. It was about the connection between two people who seemed to understand each other without the need for words. On set, they had built a rhythm, the subtle give and take between scene partners who trusted one another completely. Off set, that rhythm seemed to persist, as if their shared experiences had woven an invisible thread between them. The press, of course, was relentless. Even months later, interviews with either of them would inevitably circle back to the other. Have you kept in touch? What was your favorite moment together on set? And always, there was that same careful smile. Polite answer. But sometimes, just sometimes, eyes would give something away, a flicker of warmth. Memory rekindled in the space of a heartbeat. For the fans who had followed a journey from that very first glance, the story had become something personal. They weren't just spectators, they were invested in the possibility. In the way two people's lives might intertwine beyond the frame. Some called it wishful thinking. Called it fate. Either way, it was proof of how deeply a shared narrative could reach into the hearts of those watching. In the end, perhaps the truth didn't matter as much as the feeling it left behind. Whether Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun were simply colleagues or something more, they had managed to create a space where people could believe in unspoken connections and unexpected beginnings. That belief, fragile, beautiful, confirmed, was its own kind of love story. So, as the lights dim on this chapter and the curtain draws to a close, we're left with a lingering image of two figures on a rainy set, sharing an umbrella and a moment that belonged to no one but them. Perhaps one day, the truth will come to light. Until then, mystery remains, carrying with it all the sweetness of a secret. To every reader who has followed this journey, the first whispered rumor to the final unanswered question, thank you. Thank you for your curiosity, your passion, your belief in the small, tender moments that make life feel like a drama worth watching.